Right, everyone, I'm back. I'm hoping that that is better now. I've restarted everything. I've restarted the whole system. So it certainly seems to be faster now. It could have just been a memory dump because obviously we've been working on this computer all day long. So there's probably a bloody few gigabytes of memory that were dumped in the cache. So hopefully that's dumped it and everybody can see me without it being totally lagging now. You have the cannabis and oil, says Thomas Rittenhouse. Everybody around Thomas's house. This really does seem lagging again. Oh, God. It's YouTube, it's got to be. It's not my system. It can't be my system. Everything is fine. Now we've got echo and lag. How about now? Is there an echo now? Oh, for God's sake. I'm really sorry about this, everyone. There's nothing I can do about it. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. You know... See if we can close everything down. That's it, I've got everything closed down but Streamlabs OBS. So, you know, I've got the... Okay, so the sound is fine, that's good. Echo's gone, great. Yeah, I cleared everything, Mystery. Cleared everything. I've dumped the cache, everything. Okay, well it's recording, so hopefully everything's going to hopefully this is going to be okay. Right, hi everyone. I'm just going to go ahead with this, and you know, as long as you can hear me, I suppose that's the main thing. Hi everyone. So over the last couple of days we've been getting rumours that Theresa May was close to coming up with some sort of deal in principle, some sort of written text with the EU with regards to Brexit going forward. And I've been waiting for this, and many others have been waiting for this. And today she has the details have come out that a deal has sort of been struck. Let's open these tabs now. So, it was broke by RTE. Exclusive EU and UK negotiators agreed text for Irish border. This is the big thing that's happened today, and now I'm getting problems here. Right, we'll try again. Just bear me a second, everybody. I'm getting a glitch here now. God, this is so pissing me off. This is why I need somebody with tech experience to help me. Middle-aged man, I haven't got a clue. Right, I'll start again. So the last couple of days we've been getting word that Brexit negotiations have been moving on. It's come out today that the EU and UK negotiators have agreed a text for the Irish border, but what is in this text? Well, let's just quickly read this. EU and UK negotiators have agreed on a text that deals with the Irish border, RTE News understands. The text was agreed about 9 PM last night and then transmitted to Downing Street. While two well-placed sources have confirmed that the text was, quote, as stable as it can be, they said it would not be correct to say that negotiations have concluded. So they're still far away from negotiations being concluded. According to both sources, there will be one backstop not a backstop to a backstop, one backstop, to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland. The backstop will come in the form of a temporary UK-wide customs arrangement. Temporary. Remember that word, with specific provisions for Northern Ireland, which go deeper on the issue of customs and alignment on the rules of the single market than for the rest of the UK. It is understood that the text has an agreed review mechanism. While the text is regarded as stable, it is understood that there is further shuttling between London and Brussels. RTE News understands that while the main backstop focuses on a UK-wide customs arrangement, there will be specific provisions within the text and within annexes for Northern Ireland should the UK-wide arrangement not prove sufficient to avoid a hard border. A spokesperson for the Teo search said that the government had been officially informed that a deal had been reached with Brussels. They said it was a fast-moving situation and the government was aware that the discussions had been developing in the last number of hours. At the moment, there is nothing confirmed. As far as I'm aware, there is still a number of matters outstanding in the withdrawal agreement, the spokesperson said. Earlier, Leo Varadkar, who was asking Teo Search's questions at the Dale 2 comment on the RT report, he said he had been in chamber for the last 2 to 3 hours. He had not been able to get chance to speak to officials. Opposition parties at Leinster House have given a cautious response to the reports. Fianna Fáil's Brexit spokeswoman Lisa Chambers said a deal, if concluded, could be positive. She told RTE News, "If that turns out to be true, we would very much welcome that." However, she added, "Detail is important. We would need to see the text." Sinn Féin's Brexit spokesperson David Cullinan said, quote, "We have not seen the detail of what's been agreed. We have to wait and see and study it in full." Labour leader Brendan Howlin was also cautious. So they're all coming out and saying, "Oh, we'll have to see." Independent TD Thomas Pringle said, "We have to see the detail. We have to hold comment until then." He added, "Any Brexit agreement potentially will have a very negative effect for the border. If it's wrong, we need to be sure it's right." This is what Jeremy Corbyn said. "We will look at the details of what has been agreed when they are available, but from what we know of the shambolic handling of the negotiations, this is unlikely to be a good deal for the country." Labour has been clear from the beginning that we need a deal to support jobs and the economy, and that guarantees standards and protections. If this deal doesn't meet our 6 tests and work for the whole country, then we will vote against it. And here's the man, the myth, the buffoon that is Boris Johnson. And rather, actually, than read this out for you, let's just give you his own
this
words.
has been well trailed. This has been a chronicle of a death foretold for some months now. This has been well trailed. This has been a chronicle of a death foretold for some months now, and I think effectively it's pretty much what Ollie Robbins and Sabine Veil agreed a few weeks back anyway. We're going to stay in the customs union on this deal. We're going to stay effectively in large parts of the single market, and that means it's vassal state stuff. We are going to, for the first time in 1,000 years, this Parliament will not have a say over the laws that govern this country. It is a quite incredible state of affairs. It will mean that we are having to accept rules and regulations from Brussels over which we have no say ourselves. It is utterly unacceptable to anybody who believes in democracy. It is not the right way forward. And there is a kicker. And the kicker is that not only are we going to remain in the customs union and in large parts of the single market, but also we will not have protected our precious union. Because if you look at what they've agreed today, again we must caveat this and say you look at the reports, then it is also accepted that there must be customs and regulatory checks down the Irish Sea between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which currently do not exist. And for the first time since partition, Dublin, under these proposals, would have more say in some aspects of the government of Northern Ireland than London. So I don't see.
Right, I won't go on there to any more of what he said, but everything he said there, although I disagree with Boris Johnson on a lot of things, everything he said there was absolutely true. Let's just go to the breakdown that I've done here. This is what the Tories said in their manifesto. This is what they said they were mandated to do. We will no longer be members of the single market or customs union. That was in their manifesto. Quote, our laws will be made and interpreted by judges across the UK, not in Luxembourg. That was in their manifesto. The days of Britain making vast annual contributions to the EU will end. That was in their manifesto. We will be the world's foremost champion of free trade. That was in their manifesto. No deal is better than a bad deal for the UK. Again, that was in their manifesto. This really does not bode well. It really doesn't. Because, as you can see, there's a lot of things there that they've got to live up to. Okay. There's not a great deal of detail at the moment come out as to exactly what is in this deal and how they have come about and what she's had to give away, but we do know certain things, and we can also surmise certain things as well. The first thing is EU laws are still going to apply. As Boris Johnson said there, we're still not going to be in control of our laws. That does make us a vassal state. We're going to be in a position where we're actually not in and not out. We're just in sort of limbo. We're in a sort of, purgatory. You're just in between one another. One foot in. It's not even 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's sort of like a different dimension in between the two. The second thing is the deal hasn't been made yet. They haven't struck a deal. So anybody saying that, I've seen people saying that they've struck a deal on Twitter, which is wrong. They haven't. They've just come up with an outline, a text. It's still going to be voted, etc., etc. The UK-wide customs arrangement will have regulatory provisions for Northern Ireland. So therefore, Northern Ireland will be treated separately to Great Britain. That is something that the Tories said wouldn't happen as well. There has been no talk at the moment of whether free movement of people will stop or whether it will continue or whether she's had to make some concessions there to get this deal with the EU. It's going to be interesting, that is. I suspect that free movement of people will be ended under this deal, but I wouldn't put it past Theresa May to have somehow fudged that as well. Remember in their manifesto, it said the days of giving the EU vast amounts of money is going to stop. I've seen figures. There is a rumour going around that it's going to cost something like £50 billion, which is just not on, really. It's not on. I mean, if that's the divorce bill, fine, but let's pay the divorce bill and actually get out and not be in between. But what I will say is this. You've got to ask a question, will it get through this meaningful vote that is going to happen? There are something like 80 members of the ERG, of which Jacob Rees-Mogg and Boris Johnson, as you just saw there, are the most prominent members. There's about 80 of them. Of those 80, that means, of those 80, around 40 are thought to be properly, no, we're not going to vote for this deal that Theresa May is suggesting. They've already said that. So that's minus 40 already. For her to get this through the meaningful vote, for the Tories to get it through the meaningful vote, what that means is those 40 that are certain to vote or are said to be certain to vote against it, what it means that to get this through Parliament, it's going to need not just to try and get that down to 30 somehow, and to definitely have the support of the DUP, those 10 seats which she's going to need, but also she's going to need at least 15 members of Labour or Lib Dems, the Scottish party, to actually vote for it and vote against their own parties as well. That seems almost impossible to me. Even if she does get those ERG members down to 30 or even 20, the DUP have come out and there are rumours saying that the DUP aren't going to support it either. this is like checkers. It seems to be dead even before it's arrived when you go down the list. Number 6 on this list, will the DUP agree? Now, this is the thing with the DUP. They have said no, and others have said, well, that the Deputy Prime Minister, the Deputy to Arlene Foster, has come out and said, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like we're going to vote for it. But here's the thing with the DUP. Money talks. They've already been given £1.5 billion of public money. I wouldn't be surprised if Theresa May tries that same trick again and it works with another billion or so. I wouldn't be surprised, just to get those 10 votes which she's desperately needing. What happens next? So these are we are in crunch time now. Now this deal, in principle, this text has been arranged. We are in crunch time. I thought crunch time was going to be October, which is why I thought there was going to be August, which is why I thought there was going to be an October election. And she managed to get through that, Theresa May did, by the skin of her teeth. She is like she's like a cold sore. You just can't get rid of her. She's meeting with members one-on-one in the cabinet as we speak. As we speak, she's having cabinet members go in and trying to get their support one-on-one. There is a meeting tomorrow with her cabinet at 2 o'clock. What you can expect from that is, or what I will be looking for anyway, is I'll be looking for 3 people. I'll be looking for Angela Leadsom, Penny Mordaunt? I can't read my own writing. Penny Mordaunt and Esther McVeigh. Because the 3 of those have said that if Theresa May doesn't do certain things, they're going to vote against it. And it does look like those things haven't been done. So if those 3 people are to their word, you should see at least 1 or 2 of them resign tomorrow after this cabinet meeting. And that would obviously not look good for Theresa May as well. If the cabinet you've got to get through the cabinet meeting, cabinet have got to vote for it. If the cabinet vote for it and it gets passed, then it'll go to the summit with the EU, which is about the 25th of, I think it's the 25th of November. And then if the 27 states agree, then it'll come back. And that's when the meaningful vote will be in December. And if this timeline fits and it happens, we could have a meaningful vote by Christmas. I don't think it's going to get that far there. I really don't. There's only so much I can say with regards to this at the moment, because there are only I can only look at the details that have been released. But the details that have been released really do not look promising. They do not look promising at all. Because if you look at those things in their manifesto, none of them, if what is coming out is true, none of them are going to be met. Not a single one of them. And that's frightening. It really is. Lots of people are saying that they expect, lots of MPs are coming out and saying that they wouldn't be surprised to see Theresa May go by the end of the week. That's how serious it's going to be. Now, I've been saying that she's been kicking the can down the road as far as possible for the last 2 years, let's face it, which is exactly what she's been doing. They can't make a decision one way or the other. If they make a decision with regards to a hard Brexit, then they're going to piss off the DUP and lose that support and lose the support of the Remainers within their own party. If she votes for a soft Brexit and goes for this sort of soft Brexit, then she's going to piss off all the Remainers in her own party. She's in a no-win situation, which is why she kept kicking the can down the road and why she came up with Chequers, which, again, was dead on arrival. It was dead on arrival. It was a way to just delay it for a further, few months to give her time to try and come up with some sort of magic trick. And it's not going to work. I don't expect this to actually get through the cabinet tomorrow, let alone get on to the meeting on the 25th of November, this summit to happen on the 25th of November. If it goes to the summit, then the EU, if they have agreed to this text, then it will come back and it's just a matter of the 27 states agreeing to it, and then we'll get the meaningful vote. But as it stands, it doesn't look like it's certainly a look at the maths. She's in a position where she's a dead woman walking right now. I cannot see a way that she's not just going to get. So there's possibly 80 Tory rebels. Now, Tory rebel is sort of an oxymoron. There really is almost no such thing. They talk a good game, but talk a strong game, but when it comes time to votes, they generally just side with their own party. To be honest, historically, they've been better at that than the Labour Party, as far as I can tell. Just the same as the Republicans are better at that than the Democrats in America. But if there's 80, let's say there is 40 people that are hard Brexiteers and are going to vote no from within her own party, then you've got the 10 DUP. She's lost 50 votes there. That she's only got a margin of about 10. She's got to gain those back from either Labour or the SNP or the Liberal Democrats. There's just not enough votes there. She's not going to get it through a meaningful vote. And if it doesn't go through a meaningful vote, if it gets that far in December, she'll lose that meaningful vote. I don't think it's going to get that far at all. I'm going to stick to my guns and give a prediction and say that I wouldn't be surprised if she's gone by the end of the month. I've said all along, as soon as she makes a decision, she's done for. All along I've said that. I'm not the only person. You look at the facts of it, she's in a lose-lose situation. She's caught between a rock and another rock and another rock. No matter which way she turns, it's going to be the end of her as the Prime Minister. I think things are going to really, really happen fast now, because let's face it, we're only 3 months away from leaving the EU. So I'll keep everybody informed going forward on this over the next few weeks, with probably daily reports, because I expect things to really move on very quickly. I'll keep you all informed on it. Hopefully you could actually see me do that report and there was no lagging. Hi everyone. Thank you, Mark Damon. I don't always agree with you, but a different point of view is always welcome, you say. Thank you, Mark. If you don't always agree with me, that's fine. You're not going to. I mean, Nikki's probably I think she's been a follower of mine since my 3rd video. And, we've actually got to know each other a little bit, She doesn't agree with everything I say either. It's fine. You're not going to agree with me all the time. If you're married, I can guarantee you won't agree with your wife all the time. So why would you agree with me all the time? But I appreciate that. I try to give people the facts and to make them aware I do have a bias. I do have a bias. I'm a left-leaning sort of libertarianish sort of person. But that doesn't mean that I won't look at. That doesn't mean I'll automatically take what is considered to be a left-leaning stance, just because that's the stance of the left. I'll investigate it. I'll look at the facts. But I appreciate that. Thanks very much for your support. I'm hoping that you can. Has this lagging got better, by the way, when I did that? I'm hoping it did. Suzanne Nicol, agree, it won't get through the cabinet, let alone parliament, general election on the way. I don't think it'll be a general election, Suzanne, not immediately. I think it'll be a Tory leadership contest, and that will trigger the election. I've said all along, as people know, as people who've followed me for a while, I've said all along, even before the result of the last referendum, I said, if we vote to leave, if the result is leave, there will be at least one more referendum, possibly several. I've seen nothing that has made me change my mind. In fact, everything I've seen since then in the last, 2 years, has actually confirmed what I thought back then. there's going to be another referendum. Now, I'm leaning more towards you saying there that there would be a general election on the way. I'm leaning more towards the general election will be the referendum. And you'll have whoever is leader of the Conservative Party give their plan, and you'll have Jeremy Corbyn give his, and Labour Party give theirs. And I'm hoping that Remain won't be on the ballot, but I've got a feeling it might be. If they do get the people's vote, the Remain will certainly be on the ballot. I don't think that's right. I don't think we should keep voting until we get what the EU and the establishment think is the right decision. That's just ridiculous. I voted Remain, remember. And if there was another referendum, I would definitely vote Leave this time. Without a doubt, I would say vote Leave. And yes, it will be tough. It will be extremely tough. We're probably going to hit a recession no matter which type of Brexit we get in the short term. But I think long term, the EU is a construct that is doomed to fail. The banking system at the ECB is 3 times the size the Fed was and twice as leveraged as it was in 2008. Now, I'm not an economic whiz kid, but I do listen to people who are, people like Mark Blythe. And when he gives those statistics and says that's a recipe for a disaster, I tend to believe him because he's been bloody right on everything else over the last 2 or 3 years with regards to Brexit. And this could be the existential crisis that actually blows up the euro, which wouldn't be a bad thing either. Neil Gardner, hi mate. Global alliances, trade policy, economics, energy policy, healthcare, defence, war surveillance, migration, etc. We're just too ignorant. So let's just leave these matters to the experts. That's what they'd want, Neil. Strangely enough, that's what they'd want. Paul Maudib. I hope I pronounce your name there, Paul. In other news, Joe Rogan is live. Just realised his guest on is way smarter than him, and he's currently undergoing some of his alt-right brainwashing. It's painful. Joe Rogan actually, he doesn't think he's smart. Joe Rogan doesn't. He doesn't think he's intelligent. He just thinks he's got a good memory. That's all. Thank you, MT Unit. Beep beep to you as well, mate. You a bot by any chance? Russian bots in my chat? Be gone. Moderator, watch Lee Davenport for violence, says Hoodie Woman Louisiana. Lee Davenport is not violent. He's a vegan. He hasn't I was gonna say he hasn't got the energy to be violent. That was a joke, Lee. Please don't take that personally. Neil, I agree with you there, mate. I tend to respect those who ask the right questions rather than those who pretend to have all the answers. Totally agree with you. Too many of the people on TV pretend to have all the answers when they actually know nothing. These journalists, they should be asking the questions, not... I totally agree with you, mate. Yeah, it'll be a winter election, Mick, if it happens. It'll be a winter election, probably be... I would have thought January. It's really cutting it fine there, especially if we stick to the March deadline. January is really going to cut it fine. I can see it really happening quite quickly. I really can see this happening quickly now. If two of those three that I mentioned there, Andrea Lebson, Penny Mordaunt and Esther McVeigh is probably the least likely to resign. But if the other two resign, that is a real crisis for her. A real crisis. And she's got to get it through the cabinet. I just can't see it happening. I really can't. I can't see it happening. If she gets it through the cabinet, it'll go to the meaningful vote because the EU will get it through later on this month, but it'll go through the meaningful vote. But really, this week is going to be, there's going to be a hell of a lot of information coming out this week. There's going to be a hell of a lot of bullshit coming out as well, so I'm going to have to really try and dig through that and try and make sense of it all. Oh dear, Lee, what have you said? Okay. Thank you, Nikki. GK Info, GK1 MPO. Mark Blythe is very good and has good books. His book, Austerity: The History of the Bad Idea, History of a Bad Idea. What that book taught me, and it really was an eye opener for me, because I really did buy into the Tories saying that and people do. And I can't restart the stream, Marco. I'm just going to have to go with it, I'm afraid. I really did believe that the Tories were doing this crippling austerity, to stop the spending, because that's what they said. Once you actually start really investigating and reading, and you read book like Mark Blythe, you realise it's not designed for that at all. Austerity is designed to create a massive transfer of wealth to the 1%. So austerity has worked like an absolute charm since 2010. It's done exactly what it was meant to do as far as the Tories were. It wasn't about reducing the debt. Let me explain quickly this. Let's try and get rid of that. So the whole point of austerity is to try and get the debt down. That's the point of austerity. But if you've got a GDP there and you've got a debt level there, and you stop, so GDP, debt, and you bring your GDP down, you've just increased your debt in relative size to your economy. You've immediately done the very opposite to what you say it's designed to do. So there's no point. And then obviously the second thing is it's unfair. Who are the people that pay? Who are the people that caused this? Well, the rich caused it. Who are the people who are paying for it? The poor. It's totally unfair. Who are the ones that got bailed out? The rich. Who are the ones that suffered and lost their houses and lost their jobs? The poor. And in the last 8 years of austerity measures, what has happened? The top 1,000 people, the richest 1,000 people in this country, in 8 years, since 2009, so 9 years since the financial crisis, those 1,000 people have tripled their wealth from around $250 billion to almost $750 billion. Austerity did exactly what it was meant to do. We were just told it was meant to do something else. Mark Diamond says, I won't support Labour. I can't support the Conservatives. The Libs are a fart in a bottle. I think I want something else. You got the Greens, mate. Vote Green. She's great. I like Caroline Lucas. Yeah, Nikki, I'm hoping it's recorded and it hasn't dropped any frames as well. If not, I'll just record it again in the morning. It's nothing at my end. This is a problem. This is definitely a problem with YouTube. I'll try and see if I can. No. Everything's green. Absolutely everything's green. I'm really sorry, guys. This probably looks so unprofessional. This does. Oh well, we'll carry on. Like I say, if it doesn't come out good, I'll just re-record it and drop it tomorrow. People Are Power says, I think that this left-right thing is bullshit. Most people are in the centre. They want healthcare, education, infrastructure, community housing to be taken care of by the government. That's not in the centre. That's on left and right. It's not the centre. I wouldn't say that's the centre. I would say those are actually left-wing ideologies. But because obviously people on the right would say, oh, we want small government. But actually, if you look at, if you were to say to them, you know, right-wingers, for instance, in America, do you want universal healthcare? Over half of the Republican Party actually support it now, 54%. It's the I'm with you. I don't like the left-right stuff either, because you're letting them divide and conquer you. This is what the establishment want. They want the left and the right fighting over the issues. That's what they want. What they don't want is a nation of people who are informed and educated and critical thinking and asking questions and holding their government to power. That's what they don't want. They are shit scared of people across the political spectrum coming together on a subject, because when that happens, revolution happens. And you start seeing what happened to, you know, Louis the 16th or whatever it is in France. There's nothing I can do about the frozen video, Golden Silence. There really isn't. There's nothing I can do about it. This is YouTube, it's not me. Absolutely everything is fine. This end. We'll see, we'll hope it goes through. I've got nothing at this end saying that nothing's wrong at my end. It's YouTube. It's not me. There's nothing I can do about it. If I remember right, Jordan Chariton was having this problem yesterday because he did an interview with Tim Canova and he had to restart it 3 or 4 times as well. It's nothing on our end. It's a problem with YouTube. Like I say, if this doesn't come out right in the recording, because it does record to my computer, if it doesn't come out right in the recording, I'll redo it and upload it tomorrow. But I do want to do a live stream every Tuesday from now on. Yeah, they have a thing called QE, basically printing money, says Bob Crutch. Quantitative easing. I just think they've got problems at YouTube, One Love. I just think they've got problems with it. I mean, I'm not the only one who's seen. I'm not the only one who's seen this sort of issue. I think Jordan's seen it as well. Sakir Saleh. Finally, true news, he says. Thank you very much, Sakir. That's very nice of you. Thanks for your support, everybody. See? I knew that was coming.